sound is invited to come back to our breathing, so that the collective energy of mindfulness will bring us together as an organism, flowing as a river with no more separation. Let the whole sound of breathe as one body, chant as one body, listen as one body, transcending the boundaries of a delusive self, liberating from the superiority complex, the inferiority complex, and the equality complex.
With hearts established in mindfulness, we are truly present for sitting and walking meditation, and for reciting the sutras. May this practice center with its fourfold sangha be supported by the three jewels and holy beings, well protected from the eight misfortunes and the three paths of suffering. May parents, teachers, friends, and all beings within the three realms be filled with the most divine grace, and may it be found that in the world there is no place at war. May the winds be favorable, the rain seasonable, and the people's hearts at peace. May the practice of the noble community, diligent and steady, ascend the 10 bodhisattva stages with ease and energy. May the sangha body live peacefully, fresh and full of joy, a refuge for all, offering happiness and insight. The wisdom of the awakened mind shines out like the full moon. The body of the awakened one is pure and clear as crystal. In the world the awakened one reveals bitterness and suffering. In every place the awakened mind reveals love and compassion. Namo you.
Breathing in, I'm aware of the sunshine. Breathing out, I smile to the sunshine. Sunshine, smiling to sunshine. I'm very glad that the sunshine is still there for us. Good morning, dear Sangha. Today is the 15th of August. In the year 2010, we are in the University of Nottingham. In our retreat, living mindfully, living peacefully. You hear better now, right? About 25 years ago, I wrote a book with the title, The Sun, My Heart. The sun that emits the light, the sunshine. And that came from my insight. I saw the sun shining in the sky is my heart. One of the many hearts that I have. I know there is a heart inside of this body. And if this heart fails, I will die right away. But what about the other heart? If the sun in the sky fell, I would die away also very quickly. So it came to my mind that I am not only in this body, I am more than this body. This is one of my insights. And from that moment, I look at the sun shining in the sky as something very crucial to my being, and I call it my second heart. If my second heart fell, and then I will die right away also. Therefore, that book about meditation, The Sun, My Heart, many of you have read that book. In that book, I begin with telling the story of a child who fled her country, Vietnam, as a refugee among the boat people. She came with her husband, with her father to France. And her father was trying to look for a job in Paris. And he asked me to take care of his 4-year-old daughter, 4 or 5. Her name is Thủy, which means daughter. Water, it means water. Her name Thủy means water. I was in my hermitage in France, not very far from Paris, about 1.5 hour drive. My hermitage was on a hill, surrounding woods, forests, and so on. So little Thủy was staying with me there with another child. And we agreed that when the time for sitting meditation in the evening, they should go to sleep and do not talk and play anymore. So when the time comes for sitting meditation, as I put on my robe and light a stick of incense, they went to bed and keep quiet. And if after sitting meditation I found it a little bit too cold, and I will go and fetch another blanket and have them to be warm. Thủy was sent to the school in the village nearby. And one day her teacher came up to the hermitage and told the story that she was very impressed that one day she saw Thủy took the broom and swept the classroom after the morning work. And the children in France did not do so. They did not take a broom and wipe and clean the classroom. One day Thủy came up the hermitage with 4, 5 other girls, and they play on the ground nearby. And they came and asked for some water to drink. I had a number of bottles containing apple juice, organic apple juice given to me by a friend who live not very far from there. So I took these bottles and offer each child a glass. And it happens that the last glass of apple juice was given to Thủy, and she did not find it very appealing because there's a lot of pulp inside. So she decided not to drink it. And she left there. She left it on the table, and she went to play with other kids. About 1 hour after, she came back very thirsty, and she was trying to stand and to get some water from the water tap. She was not tall enough to do so. I pointed to the glass of apple juice. I said, "Why don't you drink that? It looks very appealing." And she looked back at the apple juice glass, and she saw now it's very, very pure because having stayed there for 1 hour, well, all the pulp has come to the bottom, and it looks very clear. And she was very glad to take it up and drink. She was so happy. And after that, she asked Sư ông. Sư ông means Thầy, the teacher of your teacher. It's called Sư ông. Why the apple juice has become clear like that? And I answer her because she has been practicing sitting meditation for 1 hour. And she understood because we left the glass there for 1 hour. It keeps still, and all the molecules come down and clarity appears. And she said, "Now I understand why you practice sitting meditation, Sư ông. You want to be clear." I said, "Yes, you understand what it means by sitting meditation. If you know how to sit, how to put yourself in a stable position, physical position, if you know how to handle your in-breath and out-breath, and after some time you become peaceful, clear." And that is why we like to do sitting meditation every day. We imitate the glass of apple juice, or the apple juice glass imitate us sitting meditation. Yesterday I told the story of my seeing a drawing of a Buddha on the cover of a Buddhist magazine that made me wanted to become a monk. The Buddha was sitting very peacefully and happily on the grass, and that was very appealing to me. I was only 10 or 11. Around me, people were not very calm as the Buddha. They had many things to worry about. Sometimes, from time to time, they get angry. That's why it's so wonderful to see someone sitting peacefully and happily like that. And that is the first time the seed of Buddhahood in me, the seed of peace, the seed of monkhood in me was water. I wanted to become someone like the Buddha. And I have been nourishing that idea for many years. I read in Buddhist magazines that during the 12th, 13th and 14th century, there was the kings, his subjects and the people in the country, they practice Buddhism. And we had a long period of peace and happiness, many hundred years. And I learned that the practice of Buddhism can bring us more peace and harmony and happiness. If I wanted to become a monk, that does not mean that I don't love life, but I want to offer something to society. And there was a strong belief that if I practice Buddhism, and then I would have a lot to offer to my people, to my country. When I grew up, my country was not independent. It was under the French occupation. And many people in the country wanted the country to be free. And my mind was on it also. And I believe that the practice of Buddhism can help the country and the people to be independent, to be free. We don't know how, but there was that kind of belief. One day my school organized a outing, a picnic. I was supposed to climb a mountain called Sơn Mountain together as a group of 300 or 400 schoolboys and girls. My class was about 50, but only 5 girls. Now the situation has changed, and the number is about equal. But in my time, they believe that girls should stay home and learn other things. We organize ourselves into several groups, each group of 5 boys. And we were told to bring along water to drink, and rice bowl and sesame seed to eat. And I was told that there was a hermit living on the mountain. And a hermit is someone who practices as a monk in order to become a Buddha, to be free. I had not seen a hermit before, so I was very excited about the opportunity to see a hermit in person. I did not know the method of walking meditation at that time. We were very young. We had not been in a retreat before. We did not know about walking meditation. So all of us tried to climb as quickly as possible to arrive as quickly as possible. We got very tired. And halfway to the mountain, we drank all our water. At that time, there was no Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola. So every child was told that they have to boil water. and put it in a bottle and bring along boiled water. So we drank all our boiled water halfway of climbing. And when we arrived, we were very thirsty. And the worst that happened to me when we arrived is that we learned that the hermit is not there. He had hidden himself somewhere. Perhaps he has heard that 400 boys are coming. And if he wanted to be on the top of the mountain, is to be alone in order to practice. So I saw his hut, but we did not see him. So I was very disappointed. I told myself that he must be hiding himself somewhere, not very far. So I had the idea to go into the wood, and if I have some chance, I will find him. So while the other 4 boys were preparing for picnic lunch, I venture alone into the wood with the hope that I will personally see the hermit. And suddenly I hear the sound of dripping water. It's very, very fine, very beautiful sound of dripping water. And I just allow myself to go in the direction of the sound. And I found a natural well. The water is very clear, very limpid. And you know, I was very thirsty. I was so happy that I believe that the hermit has miraculous power. He has transformed himself into a well so that I can personally meet him. You know, I had been reading many fairy tales and we believed in things like that. I believe that the hermit has transformed himself into a limpid well so that I can have a private audience with him. So I kneel down and I cup the water. It's very close and drank the water. I had never drunk something as good as water. Not only my thirst disappeared, but all kind of desire, including the desire to meet the hermit, disappeared also. I was completely satisfied. I didn't want anything else. And I lie down. And because I was tired, I fell into a very deep sleep. I must have slept very deeply because when I woke up, I did not know where I was. Suddenly I remember that I was on the top of a mountain called Nasan with many other boys and girls, and the 4 other boys were waiting for me. I decided I have to leave to go back to them because they must be waiting for me. So I left the well with a lot of regret. And during my walk down to the group, there was a thought in my mind that I have drunk the best kind of water in the world. So that's satisfying. I guess that is my first spiritual experience. It was very deep. It's still very much alive in me. And I did not tell the other boys about my encounter with the well, with the hermit. I don't know why. I had the impression that if I tell them the story, well, I will lose something. So I kept it silent. And the other boys may be surprised. Maybe they were surprised to see I came back much more silent than before. I think that is because of that deep experience. I think all of us should have our chance to meet our hermit. I wish that all my friends have a chance to meet his or her own hermit. Your hermit might not appear to you in the form of a well. Your hermit might appear to you in the form of a tree, or of a rock, or of a lake. But I do wish that all of you have your chance to meet your hermit and get that kind of deep spiritual experience. You will remember always. And that encounter with the well, with the hermit, strengthened my desire, my decision to become a monk. I have 4 pebbles today. And the first pebble represents a flower. About 20 years ago, we had a retreat organized for children in the town of Santa Barbara. Many children, many hundreds of children came for the retreat, and their parents came to support them. And during that retreat, we have invented pebble meditation. In order to practice pebble meditation, you need to have one little bag like this with 4 pebbles that you collect from nature. And the children can do pebble meditation among themselves. 5, 6 of them can sit in a circle. And one of them should be elected to be the leader of the meditation, bell master. When you come and sit around like this, you hear the bell and you practice mindful breathing 3 times. And then you take your pebbles out and put them on your left. And you begin by picking up the first one. And you take a look. And you identify it as the first pebble representing a flower. And you put the flower on the palm of your left hand. And you put your left hand on your right hand. And you begin to practice like this. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower. I see, and not I imagine. I see myself as a flower. Breathing out, I feel fresh. Flower, fresh. 3 times. And then you take the pebble and you put it down on your right. During the time you breathe in, You have to see yourself as a flower, a real flower. And a flower is always fresh. We human beings, we are a kind of flower. We are a variety of flower in the garden of humanity. Every one of us, whether we are boy or girl, lady or gentleman, we are a flower. We can be very beautiful, very fresh as a human being. Every one of us has our flowerness that make us beautiful, that make us fresh, that make us pleasant, that make us lovable. And we have a lot to offer to other people. If you have a freshness, beauty, and you can offer your freshness and beauty to the world like a flower. When I look at a child, I always see him or her as a flower. Look at her face, it's a real flower. Look at his eyes. Eyes is a flower. And look at her hand. Her little hand is a real flower. And look at his tiny feet, tiny foot is a real flower. And look at the child playing. That's a real flower playing. And that flower is beautiful when he is awake. That flower is also beautiful when she is sleeping. So we can see that every child, whether they are boy or girl, they are real flowers. And we wish that they will stay a flower for all their life. There must be a way to preserve our freshness, our flowerness. And meditation can help. Many of our adults have lost their flowerness, their freshness. They have cried too much. They have suffered so much. And that is why they should do something in order to restore their flowerness. And one of the ways is to practice paper meditation. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower. I don't imagine I was originally a flower. And the seed of flowerness is still in me. If I know how to touch the seed of freshness in me, I will rediscover my original freshness, flowerness. Breathing in, I see myself as flower. And during the time of your in-breath, you restore your flowerness. You restore your freshness. By the way of breathing, by the way of smiling, by the way of releasing the tension. So in the 4 or 5 seconds of your in-breath, you can do a lot. Restore your freshness, your flowerness, release the tension in your body, and you can smile. Smiling is a very easy thing to do. It does not take too much time. It can release many hundreds of muscles on your face right away in just 1 or 2 seconds. And that is the first practice, the practice of the first pebble. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower. Breathing out, I feel fresh. 3 times, and you restore your freshness. Then you take the first pebble and you put down on your right. Now the second pebble. This second pebble represents a mountain. and you put the mountain on your left hand, and you put your left hand on your right hand. Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. You are seated in a very stable position. You are quite stable, solid. There are ways of sitting that make you feel solid. Even if someone come and push a little bit, you stay solid. Even if someone come and provoke you, you stay solid. You are not carried away by your anger, your fear. Solidity is very important. Solidity makes it possible for us to be happy. Someone who is unstable, someone who is not solid, cannot be a really happy person. That is why cultivating solidity is very important. When you are solid, people can rely on you. When your beloved one is solid, you can rely on her, on him. So solidity is something that you can offer to the person we love, like freshness. You can offer your freshness, but you can offer your solidity. When you love someone, you would like to offer him or her your solidity. But if you don't have enough solidity, how can you offer? Therefore, we should cultivate more solidity in ourselves. Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. I can be solid. There is a mountain in me. I can stay myself, even with provocation, with threat. And that is very crucial for my happiness. And when I have solidity, I can offer that to you, and you can rely on me. You can count on me, because I have solidity. That is why the second pebble is important. Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. Breathing out, I feel solid. 3 times. And then you put it on your right. You pick up the third one. You look for 1 second. You identify it as still water. Still water. The water that is very still. If we have seen the surface of a lake that is very still, that reflects mountains and clouds and trees, and you can aim your camera at the lake and take the picture of the sky and of the mountain. When you are calm, when you are still, you see things as they are. You don't distort things. You can see things as they truly are. You are not victim of wrong perceptions. Wrong perceptions bring about fear, anger, despair. But wrong perceptions is there because you are not calm. If you are calm, your perception will be correct. Therefore, I want to cultivate stillness, calm, because I know stillness and calm is the foundation of my true happiness too. So each living being, each human being should have enough calm, tranquility, stillness in order to be truly happy. Therefore, I need the third pebble, still water. Breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathe out, I reflect things as they are. Be still and know and see things as they are. And there is one more pebble to practice. And the last pebble represents space, freedom. Without freedom, happiness is not complete. If you love someone, offer her some freedom. Offer him some freedom inside and around her. When you arrange flowers, the art of Ikebana, you know that each flower needs space around her to radiate her beauty. A human being is like that also. She needs some space inside to be truly happy, and some space around her. And that is why if you love her, you should know how to offer her enough space inside and around. And if you don't have enough space for yourself, how can you offer space to the person you love? Therefore, it's very crucial that we know how to cultivate more space for us, because space is one of the basic conditions for happiness. Therefore, the fourth pebble is for space. Breathing in, I see myself as space. Breathing out, I feel free. To have freedom and to offer freedom, you are a true lover. You don't imprison yourself. You don't imprison the person you love in your ideas, in your ways. You allow freedom in your heart, and you allow freedom in her heart, his heart. So the pebble meditation is not only for children, for all of us. In order for us to cultivate more flowerness, freshness, more solidity, more stillness, and more freedom. Very important. And after having finished 4 pebbles, 12 in breath and out breath, well, you finish your pebble meditation and you bow with the sound of the bell. So Thầy will continue his story of becoming a monk tomorrow. And enjoy your Bible meditation today. Have a good day. Enjoy yourself. When you hear the small bell, stand up and bow to the Sangha before you go out. I hope that this microphone is good enough. You think so? There's a sutra, a text, a scripture called the Sutra on the 4 Foundations of Mindfulness. The 4 establishments of mindfulness. And the first one, the first establishment is body. Được rồi cả. Body. And the second one is feeling. The first four exercises that the Buddha proposed, the four exercise on mindful breathing, is about the body, to take care of the body. And the object of mindfulness is the body. And it is spoken very clearly in the sutra. The contemplation of the body in the body. The contemplation of the body as the body. During the contemplation, you are not an observer that is separate from your body. You have to be one with the body. We have a perception of our body. A perception always means a perception of something. When you perceive something, there is the subject and the object of perception. Suppose you see a flower. The flower is the object of your perception. And the subject of the perception is our consciousness. Our consciousness. And in a perception, both subject and object are born at the same time. They manifest at the same time. We should not imagine that there is a consciousness that can stay alone, independently from the object. A subject, a consciousness that stays alone without object does not exist. But usually people believe that subject of perception and object of perception, they are apart like this, and this come to this in order to perceive, to understand. That is not the case. We have to learn that subject of a perception and object of perception, they manifest at the same time. Suppose you have a coin. And you have the head and the tail. And the two faces, they lean on each other in order to manifest. It's like this marker that has the left and the right. Left and the right, the left and the right appear at the same time. You cannot expect the left to be possible without the right, and the right possible without the left. They always manifest at the same time, like the above and the below. You cannot expect the above to exist independently from the below. No. This is very important, very basic. So consciousness is always consciousness of something. To perceive always means to perceive something. So the first exercise is about the practice of to identify the in-breath as in-breath and the out-breath as out-breath. In, out. While breathing in, you identify your in-breath as an in-breath. Breathing in, I know this is my in-breath. This is one in-breath, in-breath. So there is a perception and the object of perception born at the same time. And there is mindfulness. And mindfulness here is mindfulness of your in-breath. Mindfulness is always mindfulness of something. Mindfulness cannot be alone without any object. Mindfulness of drinking, mindfulness of walking, mindfulness of thinking, mindfulness of sitting, mindfulness of something, like eating. You cannot eat nothing. Whether you eat an orange, or some bread, or some chocolate, but there should be the thing that is eating in order for the meaning of eating to be real. So the first exercise is to be aware of the in-breath and to be aware of the out-breath. Breathing in, I know this is my in-breath. Breathing out, I know this is my out-breath. Just to identify the in-breath and out-breath. And while you do so, you focus your attention only on your in-breath and your out-breath, and you abandon the past, you abandon the future, you are free. Because you are now with your in-breath and out-breath. So the effect of the practice can be seen right away. You don't need to practice 10 days in order to begin to see an effect. As soon as you bring your attention to your in-breath and out-breath, you are released from the past, from the future, from your projects, and the mindful breathing set you free. The second exercise of mindful breathing is to follow our in-breath and out-breath. It takes 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 seconds to make an in-breath. And during that time, you follow all the way through your in-breath. There is no interruption of mindfulness. Mindfulness is continuous, and therefore the object of mindfulness is continuous. No. So the quality of concentration is better, will be better. With the first exercise, you only need to identify the in-breath and the out-breath. With the second exercise, you follow your in-breath all the way through. And that is why your freedom is complete. The past is released, future is released, you release everything. There is no more thinking because you are fully focused on your in-breath. And that is why mindful breathing can set you free. And that can continue for several minutes. There are those of us who are caught in our thinking and we just cannot stop our thinking. And the more you think, the more you suffer. And we wish that there is one button somewhere that he can push in order to stop the thinking, but there's no button, such a button. But if you know the art of mindful breathing, you can stop the thinking without the use of any button at all. And the practice of breathing can be pleasant also, can be nourishing and healing also. So anytime you feel that you are not less than happy, go back to your breathing, enjoy breathing deeply, stop all thinking, and you know that you are recovering yourself, you are nourishing yourself. Take refuge in your breathing. Your mindful breathing is your savior. With the second exercise, our freedom increases a lot, and the quality of our breathing has increased a lot, and also concentration becomes stronger. The energy of mindfulness always carries with her the energy of concentration, and with the second exercise, concentration becomes stronger, because you are mindful all the way through your in-breath, all the way through your out-breath. And if you continue, one day you see that your in-breath can be quite long. It can be 8, 10, even 11 seconds, 15 seconds. And the joy is deeper also with the practice. So sitting on the bus, on the train, or on a bench, on the beach, you might like to enjoy just to breathe in and breathe out with the first and the second exercises. Very nourishing, very healing, restoring. The third is still in the realm of body. Breathing in, I'm aware of my whole body. To follow your in-breath and out-breath is already to ride on that vehicle to go back to your body. This is a kind of reunion between body and mind. In our daily life, very often our body is there, but our mind is not there. We are not truly there if our body and mind are separated. So the first two exercises is to bring our mind back to our body, and there is a family reunion between body and mind, and suddenly you find yourself established in the here and the now. We may have neglected our body. We may have worked too hard on our body. May have had our body work too hard. And now we want to be back for our body. Breathing in, I'm aware of my body. Whether you are in a sitting position or lying position, you are with your body now. And since body and mind are together, you are well established in the here and the now to encounter life within and around yourself. And while you are with your body, you might notice that there is tension, pain, tiredness in your body. We have accumulated a lot of tension and therefore pain in our body. And that makes our happiness more difficult. And therefore we are, with that kind of awareness, maybe some intention is born to release the tension and reduce the pain in our body. And that is why we have the fourth exercise. Breathing in, I release the tension in my body. Release tension in body. With the release of tension, the pain will be reduced. And we practice these four exercises in the spirit of non-duality. We have to be with our body. We are not an observer staying outside of our body. We are the body. Our mindfulness is mindfulness of body, of the body. And in this, with these four exercises, we learn how to take care of our body and to restore the well-being of our body. With these four exercises, we come home to the present moment and to take care of our body and to take care of other things like feelings, etc. In the sutra, there is another sutra with the same kind of teaching, the sutra on the contemplation of the body in the body. And the Buddha proposed the practice of paying attention not only to the body as a whole, but to pay attention to every part of the body, 36 parts of the body, including the brain, the eyes, the nose, the tongue, the lungs, the liver, and so on. So the image he used is a farmer going up to the cellar and bring down a bag of seeds. And he opened one end of the bag and allowed all the seeds in the bag to flow on the floor. And with eyes still in good condition, he can identify every sort of grains that come out from the bag. Here are grains of corn. Here are grains of string beans. Here are grains of kidney beans, and so on. So the practitioner does exactly like that. In a lying position or sitting position, he or she focus attention on, for instance, the eyes, and say that breathing in, I'm aware of my eyes. Breathing out, I smile to my eyes. I send compassion to my eyes. And you go down, down. And you stop at every part of your body. And you embrace each part of your body with the energy of mindfulness. Suppose we come to our heart and you practice breathing in, I'm aware of my heart. Breathing out, I smile to my heart. So in that moment, the energy of mindfulness is recognizing and embracing your heart. And since there is mindfulness, there is a concentration, there may be some insight coming right away that your heart suffers. Your heart has been working very hard, but you have not taken good care of your heart. You drink a little bit too much, you smoke a little bit too much, you stay up late a little bit too much in the night, and you have given your heart a hard time. So that is the kind of vision, the kind of insight that can come when you focus your attention on something. And suddenly compassion arises, and you might determine to stop drinking alcohol, to stop more smoking, and to love your heart more, to take care of your heart more. Your heart works 24 hours a day to pump the blood, to nourish all the cells. And your heart does not have time to rest, to sleep like you. And you have not been aware of that. So when you come to your heart, using mindfulness and concentration to recognize her existence, to embrace her tenderly, and then you may find out that, and you might like to treat, to be more kind to your heart. That is already the meditation of love directed to your heart. So you go slowly, slowly, and it's like a scanner in a hospital. And you don't scan your body with X-ray, but you use the ray of mindfulness. And you recognize every part of your body, you smile to it, you bring loving kindness to it. You allow it to relax, to release the tension. And when you come to an organ that is ailing, suppose something does not go well with your liver, and then you may like to stay longer with your liver. You know that your liver suffers, so you like to stay longer with her, embracing her. Breathing in, I'm aware of my liver. Breathing out, I smile to my liver. I think I'm going to stop drinking alcohol, eating too much fat, and so on. So many good things can come out of that kind of mindfulness. And if you stay longer with your liver will feel more comfortable, loved, and the process of healing can take place more quickly. Of course, you can continue to use the medicine the doctor gave you, but you should not count on medicine alone. You can do something to accelerate, to allow the healing to take place more quickly, and that is with mindfulness, concentration, that can offer relief and love and compassion. So if in this retreat we practice some deep, total relaxation, that is, we put the Buddha's teaching into practice. We use mindfulness in order to hold our body, to recognize our body, and to help our body release the tension in each part of the body. When we come to the realm of feeling, feeling is the second establishment of mindfulness. And the seventh exercise is to recognize a painful feeling, aware of painful feeling. It is equivalent to the third exercise. when we come back to our body, we might be aware that there is a tension and pain in our body. So in the realm of feeling, when we go home to our feeling, we might be aware that there is a painful feeling, a painful emotion that is in us. Because mindfulness can recognize what is going on. What is going on is a painful feeling, a painful emotion. And a practitioner should know how to take care of that painful feeling, that painful emotion. And she learned how to be aware of that, and using the energy of mindfulness, she embraces, she holds that painful feeling. The painful feeling is an energy, and mindfulness is another kind of energy. So mindfulness is holding painful feeling and bringing some relief, and help to release the pain in the feeling. So the 8th exercise is about releasing the tension in the feeling. If the 4th is to release the tension in the body, and the 8th is to release the tension in the emotion and in the feeling, so that we can obtain a relief. We can go further, but first of all, we can obtain a relief. A mother working in the kitchen, and she hears the baby crying. She knows that something is wrong with the baby. So she leaves the kitchen, she goes into the room of the baby, and she picks up the baby and holds the baby tenderly into her arms. That is exactly what a practitioner does when she notices that there is a painful feeling in her. When a painful feeling manifests, the energy of suffering is there. And a practitioner does not let the suffering alone. We have to attend to that suffering. And with the mindful breathing or walking, she generates the energy of mindfulness and concentration. And that energy of mindfulness and concentration is the kind of energy that recognizes the painful feeling and embraces it tenderly. There's no fighting. There's no attempt to suppress or to push it out. You don't suppress your baby. You don't push out your baby. You just pick your baby up and hold very tenderly. So that is exactly what a practitioner will do. He generates energy of mindfulness and concentration, recognize the painful feeling or emotion, and embrace very tenderly. It's your baby. You should not do violence to your baby. You have to take care of it. So the 2 characteristics of Buddhist practice is non-duality. Non-duality. That pain is you. It's not your enemy. Don't do violence to it. And second is non-violence. No suppression. But before giving the exercise to help us to become aware of our pain and to take care of our pain, the Buddha gave the exercise number 5, 6, and 6, so that we learn how to bring in, to create a feeling of joy and of happiness. A good practitioner is supposed to be able to create a feeling of joy at any time she wants. And he should be able to create a feeling of happiness wherever and whenever he wants. Generating joy, generating happiness. There's a little bit difference between joy and happiness in the context of the Buddhist teaching. And the image that is used is someone walking in a desert and who does not have, who is very thirsty and who wishes to have some water to drink. And suddenly he saw an oasis of trees and lake. In a distance of 1 or 2 kilometers. So the feeling of joy is born. Very soon I will have a shade to sit in and water to drink. That generates joy. And when the traveler actually arrives, he kneel down and cup the water and drink. That is happiness. So there is still some excitement in joy. But when you truly experience happiness, well, that kind of excitement already died down. So a practitioner should know how to create a feeling of joy for her own healing and nourishment. And she should know how to generate a feeling of happiness to nourish her, to make her stronger. So later on, she will have enough strength to deal with the pain, the suffering in her. And that is why exercise number 5 and 6 come first. So we can see the mind of the Buddha. The Buddha as a physician, a healer, a teacher, a lot of compassion in him. When someone is too weak, she cannot undergo surgery. So you postpone surgery, you help her to have enough strength in order for her to be able to go through surgery. This is exactly what the Buddha wants. And how to create a feeling of joy. How to create a feeling of happiness to nourish yourself. When you offer the children the Bible meditation, we know that this is also one of the ways to cultivate joy and happiness. Cultivate freshness, solidity, stillness, and freedom. That are very essential for our joy and our happiness. And the Buddha proposed very concrete ways. The first method that he proposed is to leave behind, to let go. Li means to let go. There are many things we don't want to let go. because we believe them to be essential to our survival, to our happiness. And yet, if we look very deeply, we may identify them as an obstacle for our joy and happiness. We do not have the courage to let it go, including our ideas about happiness. Each of us has an idea about our own happiness. We believe that if only we can get that, we'll be happy. Or believe if only we can get rid of this, we'll be happy. We have ideas like that. And we are caught by our ideas. And because we are caught in an idea, happiness has never been possible. And if you know how to let go of the idea, happiness will come by itself. So the idea is to take a piece of paper and to jot down what you think to be essential to your happiness that you cannot let go, and have a deep look on each item. Maybe what you think to be essential for your well-being, for your safety, of your happiness, is the very obstacle for your happiness. We might believe that such a doctrine, such an ideology is crucial for our country, our people, to become a strong, big power. And we follow that ideology for 50 years, 70 years. And in the meantime, we create a lot of suffering for our people, our nation. And finally, we found out that we are caught in an idea that prevents our nation, our people, to advance on the path of happiness and unity. 70 years is a lot. So to let go is first to let go of ideas. And that is only possible with meditation. In Plumvillage, we usually use the example of someone living in a big city like Paris or Los Angeles. You suffer because of the noise, of the dust, of the smell. And you want to get out of the city, to go to the countryside for the weekend. It takes maybe 1 hour or more to get out of the city. And when you find yourself on the countryside, surrounded by hills and trees, you are so happy. You are like liberated from something. And your happiness driving through the hills is due to the fact that you have been able to leave the city behind. So to leave something behind, that is one of the practice that can bring us joy and happiness. The other method, the second method is mindfulness. With mindfulness, we go home to the here and the now. And we recognize there's so many conditions of happiness that are available already. We release the past, we release the regret concerning the past, we release the worries concerning the future. We go home to the present moment. We recognize all the conditions of happiness that are more than enough. And suddenly, happiness and joy become possible. mindfulness is a source of happiness. Concentration is a source of happiness. Suppose we practice embracing our eyes with mindfulness. Breathing in, I'm aware of my eyes. Breathing out, I smile to my eyes. When you focus your attention on your eyes, you get the insight that your eyes are still in good conditions. You only need to open your eyes in order for a paradise of forms and colors become possible. The paradise of forms and colors is available because you have eyes. And you don't need to do anything, just sit on the grass and open your eyes and experience the paradise of forms and colors. If you are imprisoned in your fear, in your anger, there's no paradise. So when you focus your attention on your eyes, you see your eyes is a jewel, and it allows you to get in touch with the paradise of form and colors. And when you get in touch with your heart, and knowing that your heart still functions normally, you recognize another condition for your happiness, and you smile. Many people wish to have a heart like yours. Many people who are blind, their deepest desire is to have eyes like you, so that they can experience the paradise also. So mindfulness is truly a treasure of happiness, a source of happiness. And the Buddha teaching is, it is possible for you to live happily in the here and the now. Use mindfulness. The phrase living happily in the present moment was repeated 5 times in a discourse the Buddha gave to a group of businessmen. Anathapindika was a very well-known businessman of his time. And he was a student of the Buddha. One day he brought several hundreds of businessmen in the city of Shravasti to the Buddha. And at that time the Buddha gave them a discourse. And in that discourse he used 5 times the expression living happily in the present moment. The Buddha was aware that businessmen think too much about their success in the future. They may not have enough time for themselves, for their family in the here and the now. They are sucked into the future. They only think about the growth of their business. And that is why the Buddha told them directly that they can be happy right here and right now if they know how to practice mindfulness, especially through the 5 mindfulness trainings. When we gather for a meal, before eating, we might like to breathe in and out and become aware of the fact that the people we love are still there, alive, around the table. We look at each one of them with that kind of awareness. We see that there are things on the table to eat. And we may practice the 5th mantra. Dear ones, this is a moment of happiness. And happiness is born in the heart of everyone. So that is the practice of mindfulness. And so mindfulness is a source of happiness. And you can very well generate a feeling of joy, of happiness at any time of the day, if you know how to use mindfulness. The techniques of being mindful, the techniques of leaving behind. Our mind can be conceived as having two parts. And this lower part is called store consciousness. And this upper part is a mind consciousness. And there is a seed of mindfulness here, a seed of concentration, a seed of insight, seed of compassion, and so on. Many wholesome seeds that are there in the bottom of our store consciousness. And there are also the negative, unwholesome seeds, like a seed of despair, a seed of anger, a seed of jealousy, and so on. So in Buddhist, in the Buddhist teaching, these are called bijas. That means seeds. And in the tradition of Plum Village, we counted 51 varieties of seed in store consciousness. And feeling is just one of these seeds. It's a very important seed. When the feeling of anger manifests here, we suffer. Or when the seed of despair, of jealousy manifests up here, we suffer. As long as they accept to sleep quietly down there, we are all right. But that does not mean that the seed of anger and fear are not there. They are only sleeping down there. So when a seed, a bija, manifests up here, it is called a mental formation. Mental formation. Fear is a mental formation. Anger is a mental formation. It is a kind of energy that makes the landscape of the mind not beautiful anymore. Suffering is there. So a practitioner should not allow anger or fear to be alone and to stay too long up there. Mind consciousness is like the living room, and store consciousness is like the basement. And a good practitioner would do something in order to help the mental formation of fear, of anger, to go back as soon as possible. And with some training, we'll be able to do it. It's like if you play a CD, and if the music does not please you, you don't allow it to continue. You push on the button and stop it and change the CD. We can do the same as a practitioner. With mindful breathing, mindful walking, you invite the energy of mindfulness to come up. And there is a second mental formation born here. Mindfulness. Anger and mindfulness. So the energy of mindfulness, after being manifested, we recognize anger as something existing. Breathing in, I know anger is there in me. That's called mindfulness of anger. That's the second establishment of mindfulness. You sit on the bank of the river of feelings, and you recognize the feeling when it is born. Breathing in, I'm aware of the painful feeling in me. In this case, it is anger. And breathing out, I'm embracing that feeling of anger. You do not try to destroy, to suppress. You just recognize and embrace. And then the energy of mindfulness will penetrate somehow into the zone of anger. And there will be a transformation, a change taking place. It's like in the morning, the flower is already there but not open yet. And when the sun comes up, and the sunshine will come and embrace the flower. After 1 or 2 hours of embracing, of being embraced, the flower may bloom. The light in forms of small grains, photon, embrace and try to penetrate. When the mother holds her baby, the energy of tenderness penetrates into the body of the baby. And that is why even the mother does not know what is wrong with the baby yet, but the baby gets a relief. So the encounter between two kinds of energy can produce a change. That is why a practitioner knows how to hold her pain, her anger tenderly. And if in the beginning her mindfulness is still too weak to do that, she will have to borrow the collective energy of the Sangha in order to hold her energy of pain or anger. Dear Sangha, this is my pain, this is my despair, please help, embrace it with me. The Sangha help you in the beginning. So that is truly the practice of the 7 and the 8 exercise. Formation is a word that is a little bit technical. Anything that manifests upon the coming together of many conditions is called a formation. Like a flower is a formation. We see that the sunshine, the cloud, the soil, the minerals, the gardener have come together in order for the flower to manifest. So the flower is a formation. This marker is a formation. The microphone is formation. My body is a formation. The marker is a physical formation. My body is a physiological formation. My anger is a mental formation. So mindfulness is a mental formation, embracing anger, which is another mental formation. And a good practitioner knows how to recognize her pain, his anger, embrace it tenderly in the spirit of non-duality, non-violence, and obtain a relief, a release of the tension in that feeling or in that emotion. There are so many young people who kill themselves, who commit suicide because they don't know how to deal with the pain, the powerful emotion in them, the powerful energy of fear, of anger, of despair. In France, every day, there are about 35 young people who kill themselves because they don't know how to handle that strong emotion in them. It's despair or anger. And their parents don't know how to handle these emotions either. Therefore, as parents, we have to practice. We know how to take care of a painful emotion, a painful feeling, so that we can tell the young people how to do it. I think school teachers should learn. And they should tell the students in their class, how they do it. And we can save the life of many young people if we know how to do it and to transmit our experiences of how we do it. So in the second establishment of mindfulness, we have 4 exercises dealing with feelings. But feeling is just one of the 51 categories of mental formations. And therefore, the third establishment of mindfulness is about mind. The first is body, the second is feeling, the third is mind. Mind here means the rest of the 51. It means the 50. Beside the feeling. So there is a river of mind flowing, and our mind is made of mental formations. drops of water in the river of mind are mental formations, one succeeding another. And to meditate is to sit on the bank of the mind and observe and recognize the birth of a mental formation and the death of a mental formation. And we can also do something in order to help. And the fourth establishment of mindfulness is about the object of the mind. It means the object of all these mental formations. Because fear is always fear of something. Anger is always anger of something. Perception is always perception of something. Mind cannot be alone without the object. So this is mind, and this is object of mind. Object of mind instead of reality as an objective of the objective world. Many scientists still believe that there is a consciousness inside, separately, that try to go out and understand the objective reality of the world outside. There's something in here, and there's something out there. The in here is trying to understand out there. Many scientists are still caught in that kind of dualistic view concerning mind and the object of mind. And that is what in Buddhism we call the double grasping. We are caught by the idea that there is a consciousness, one part, and the object of consciousness, another part, and the two can exist separately. We don't know that without the left, there is no the right. If there is no right, there is no left. We will come to that later on. But now we know that the third establishment of mindfulness, the realm of meditation, is the mind. And then the fourth is the object of mind. More simply, we can say that this is the realm of perception. When we look at a tree, there is a perception of the tree. And what we know is the tree is the object of my perception. We are not sure that the tree can be by itself alone without our consciousness. But manifesting in our consciousness, it has that form. And scientists have told us that form, sound, smell presented in our mind are quite different from what they are before the manifestation. At least they have seen that. So perception is one of the 51 mental formations. So in the realm of mind here, we have, instead of 51 or 50, we have 49. So after we learn about how to deal with our feelings, we go to the third establishing of mindfulness, and we attend to all kind of mental formations. When a mental formation manifests, the practitioner is aware of that manifestation and have a deep look on it in order to see the roots of that mental formation. And finally, we come to the realm of perception, because of wrong perceptions bring a lot of suffering, and therefore meditation is to look deeply into our perception and make sure that we do not get wrong views that are at the foundation of all our suffering. We shall continue tomorrow.